Welcome to Intentional Movement for Golfers. This is a full body dynamic movement practice that allows you to inculcate effortless power, trying to move in a way that removes resistance, tension, tightness, and allows that idea, that thought to infuse your movements through golf, through life. So we're going to start with a simple body scan. First, a posture check. Imagine a hook coming down from the heavens, reaching up with the crown of your head, hooking on, unlocking the ankles, the knees, the hips, letting the pelvic bowl hang down on the spine. Deep breath in, elongating the spine, broadening the shoulders, easy elbows, restful wrists, harmless hands, forgiving fingers. This is our neutral posture, puppet on a string. We'll just take 3 stacked breaths to flush out any initial stress, tension, tightness. So deep breath in, blow it out, deep breath in, blow it out, deep breath in, and blow it out. And from this neutral position, we're going to start rotating in place, breathing, easing, with the intention to remove resistance, tension, tightness, wherever you might find it. That's our intention for the entire scan portion of this movement practice. And our attention, I will lead you through your body from the feet all the way up through the head. First, building the core, ground for stability through the legs and torso. And then as we get to the arms, we'll take a club in hand. So ideally, you'll have enough space to swing a club as well. But for the moment, it's just your unencumbered, comfortable, easy rotation. So the intention is to remove resistance, tension, tightness, wherever you might find it. The attention draws through your body from feet all the way upwards. I'd like you to bring your laser-like focus of attention into the body part that I'm mentioning. Just see if you can unfold the intention there. And then your awareness stays on this broad puppet on a string posture. So the difference between attention and awareness, that laser-like attention, digging in, pinching and zooming into the feelings of that body part. The awareness, just a softer, broader spotlight that stays aware of the entire body, that particular body part in relationship to the entire body. And so as we rotate, we start to remove resistance, tension, tightness, and we start in the feet, wiggling the feet and allowing the surface that we are standing on to become known to the bottom of the feet, drinking in to the feeling of this surface, softening in, feeling if there's any give to the surface. If you're standing on a yoga mat, for example, you might notice the cushiness of the surface. If you're standing on something hard, can you soften your feet to allow connection, rooting in? And the bones and the ligaments of the feet settle in as a result of this, trying to root into the ground, create a stable connection to allow the transfer of ground forces. And I use the metaphor of a spring water pump to move our attention. The spring water is rising up through the feet now into the ankle joints to rejuvenate, replenish, reset. And as we rotate, we notice the feeling of both ankle joints coming into focus, into our attentional attention. Noticing the edge of the dynamic range at the ankles, gliding here, the synovial fluid in the ankle joint replaced, replenished, repleted. The connective tissue around the joint capsule made more supple and strong at the same time. We're not going limp, we're removing resistance, any extra tension, extra tightness, but some tone is obviously necessary, some connection, that kinetic energy transfer from the ground upwards, starting to get noticed through the ankles. And there's 3 ways we can rotate here. So we can stay very neutral with the balanced posture, puppet on a string. You can weight transfer between right and left. And if you weight transfer, then you can rotate towards that posted leg, or you can rotate away from the posted leg. Any of these 3 movement patterns, totally fine. In fact, if you find your attention wandering, just come back to return to the same intention, removing resistance, tension, tightness, and you might change the way that you rotate just to create some aliveness, some juiciness in the feeling at the joint level. So gliding at the ankle joints, the water rises into the lower leg, calves, shins, these muscles that stabilize the ankle, that flex and extend the feet, that flex and extend the toes. These muscles all located here below the knee. These muscles lengthening, loosening, unlocking a power potential that wasn't there before in tonic contraction. If they were busy worrying about stability because of an asymmetric posture, now coming into full neutral and transferring and rotating through full neutral, these agonist-antagonist pairs can work together in a more concerted way, more rhythmic, less working against, and more coherent movement pattern. And so these troponin myosin chains in the myocytes in these muscle bellies, they can relax, lengthen, loosen, unlock. Glycogen stores can be restored. Lactic acid flushed out of these muscle bellies, and they can function better at a more homeostatic, normal pH. The peripheral vascular resistance drops as the perfusion improves to these muscle bellies, and the pumping action of the muscle bellies itself are a physical pump to mobilize interstitial fluid and lymphatic flow from the lower extremities, mobilizing and allowing movement to feel alive here. The water rises, and now into the knee joints, we notice this spring water pump percolate in, floating at the knees, gliding at the knees, meniscus thickened, connective tissue around the joint capsule of the knee made more supple and strong at the same time. If you've sustained injuries at the ankles or the knees, this is a good time to just feel like you can float and unlock a little bit of the guarding that might occur around an injured joint, allowing it to move through neutral, touching into the edge of your dynamic range, no matter how limited or extensive that might be. There's no platonic ideal. We're rotating to our own rhythm internally. I'm narrating, but your experience is within your body. Noticing your knees floating, synovial fluid replaced, replenished, repleted, the joint capsules alive with feeling through the rotational movement. As we do this, we engender a protective, strengthening movement pattern. Noticing all of the dynamic range of the rotation allows us to, when we're swinging a golf club, become more aware of this at the subconscious level, so that injury and repetitive stress can minimize. The water rises here now into the biggest muscle groups of our body: hamstrings, quadriceps, gluteal muscles. All of these muscles here in the thigh, they start to gain our attention, feeling these strong, powerful, powerhouse muscles that stabilize the lower body. Lower extremities built now on this very sturdy platform that's also supple, easy, gliding at the hips, opening up some space in both hips, lengthening these troponin myosin chains, unlocking some ease in the rotation. Feeling the kinetic chain connected from the ground up, through the ankles, through the knees, through the hips now. The pelvic bowl gliding gently, easily, powerfully, all at the same time. Feeling that we can engender this and allowing a better control, fine motor movements, control of these gross motor muscles is exactly what a golfer is after. You control this in a very precise way. The rest of the swing comes along for the ride much more easily, less to control, more to just allow the unfolding of the swing that you want. Breathing, matching the movement as the attention in these muscle groups allows a relaxation, lactic acid flush. Our breathing deepens to compensate for this metabolic acidosis from the lactic acid. We breathe off the carbon dioxide, and just naturally our breath wants to get bigger, draw in more oxygen, percolate out this nutrient to the entire body. Pelvic bowl gliding, noticing the edge of the dynamic range. How are we interacting with the edge of the dynamic range? Are we banging into the edge at the ankles, at the knees, the hips, through the pelvic bowl? Or are we bouncing off of it? Or can we touch into it gently, like a feather touching your cheek, coming back? Here's where touch, finesse, and grace come into the swing. Gently easing, unlocking, unfolding. Breathing and allowing some ease in these big muscle groups. Pelvic girdle, 360 degrees, softened up, supple, easy, unencumbered. Noticing if there's any stress or strain in the front, in this pubic symphysis area, in the right hip, in the lumbosacral junction there, in the back at 6 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, the left hip, supple, open, easy, spacious for the swing to unfold. And back to the front. The water rises into the abdominal band and lumbosacral area, the lumbar core support, these big muscle groups. Breathing into this space. We normally hold a tourniquet of tightness. Maybe we feel like this is part of the powerhouse. And stability here is important. Mobility as well. That X factor is generated when the pelvic bowl can separate from the thoracic shoulders. If you notice the rectangle that's created by the shoulders and the hips, that rectangle can rotate in 3 dimensions. And the lumbar spine is responsible for that X factor, that delay. As the pelvic bowl fires through, the arms come later, the shoulders come later as that separation occurs both in the lumbar spine where there's mobility, and in the thoracic spine, less mobility, but still the ability to generate some rotational lag. So noticing this in the abdomen, softening the abdomen, breathing in, and unlocking. Again, puppet on a string, trusting this neutral movement so that the lumbar spine can unencumber. Especially true for injuries. Golf injuries in the lumbar spine are prevalent, and the crunching action of the swing can exacerbate any injuries that might be building there. So we create space here, L5, L4, L3, L2, and L1. The 5 lumbar vertebrae get our focus of attention, really dropping into this space as we rotate, opening up some space between the spinal nerve root outlets, creating some height in the vertebral bodies rather than grinding here. We are creating maybe some X factor, if you want, to allow that feeling to become known in this lumbar spine. But that X factor is supported by an uncoiling of a springy spring in that lumbar space, rather than wringing out a towel where it feels like you're just squeezing it. Instead, imagine uncoiling or coiling a spring where there's mobility in both directions, some return to neutral. Breathing into this space, into that lumbar spine, we notice the thoracolumbar junction in the back there. Breathing into that space where mobility meets stability again. The upper torso stabilized here in the thorax. But we start breathing into this space, breathing into that mid-back, and letting the diaphragm drop deeper into the abdomen as we've softened up the abdominal wall. And the water rises up through the thorax, vertebra by vertebra, rib by rib, T12, T11, digging in our attention to T10, T9, T8, T7, T6, T5, T4, T3, T2, and T1. As we dig in here, we soften up the thoracic spine, the rib cage, mobilizing, allowing some rotational freedom here, and strength as well. So it doesn't mean we're going so limp that we can't generate the drive through this spinal column. Instead, by supplely removing resistance along the entire spine, we free up some mobility and power as a result. Engendering this, neck deep in the spring water, we bring our attention to the cervical spine. If our head is down, looking at a ball, this is a good opportunity to pick up a club. If our head is at address, fixed, the cervical spine is going to rotate under a fixed head position. And so there's mobility here. Again, gentle ease through this. Start to swing the club. I would say for every 3 or 4 swings that you swing in one direction, flip the club over and swing it in the opposite direction. With the same intention, remember, we're returning to removal of resistance, tension, tightness, wherever we might find it. So starting at 70%, Our body is a little more, rather than completely upright, we are at address, gently flexed at the hips to bring a long, straight spine into address position. And then the arms here start to get our attention, really to remove resistance, tension, tightness, to soften up. We get the most feel out of our upper body and the most lag if these body parts, the arms, can relax fully, feeling the weight of the entire arm and club at the shoulders, supple, soft, and creating space. Again, the rectangle of the torso, the twisting body, the upper edges of that rectangle, broad, soft, supple, creating some space in the chest as we swing. Oftentimes we get, as a golfer, contracted in at impact, trying to keep a broad shoulder space, creating space in the glenohumeral cavity around the rotator cuff and the shoulders, creating space to allow the swing to naturally come through. Feeling the weight of the arm and the club at the shoulders, feeling the weight of the forearm and the club at the level of the elbows. Really diving in to the upper arm, between the elbow and the arm, now with the next few swings. How much control are we exerting? We might start to swing our more natural swing rather than this intentional removing of resistance, unlocking, unfolding. So try to swing a little bit differently here, not for the purposes of retraining your swing, but rather to allow your body an opportunity to fully relax into an effortless, powerful position. Forearms soft, supple. They need to flex to help the grip because they flex and extend the hands. They flex and extend the wrist. They pronate and supinate the wrist, all those muscle bellies located here in the forearms. The golfer's forearms, often very strong, but now holding the club a little more gently so that we can relax some of these muscles here. Breathing into this space as the body scan is coming closer to an end. We really dig in to the wrists now, feeling the weight of the hand and the club at the level of the wrist, unlocking, softening, gentle movement, feeling the edge of the dynamic range through the wrist. Can we mobilize something here? Oftentimes at impact, the wrists need stability in order to make contact. But can we, as we air swing here, can we soften up the wrists to allow feeling to return, to really feel now the back of the hands and the grip, allow us to draw even more juicy internal attentional awareness to the club head and the position of the club head. So we might exaggerate a draw swing just a little bit, subtle knowledge of what a draw feels like in the arm, in the elbows, in the wrists, in the hands. Softening up the shoulders, easy elbows, restful wrists, harmless hands, forgiving fingers, getting a sense of what that club head is doing. Now we're swinging freely and easily with the whole body from the ground up, gliding at the ankles, gliding at the knees, gliding at the hips, lumbar spine free to rotate through thoracic spine, some mobility there. Shoulders soft, easy elbows, restful wrists, harmless hands, forgiving fingers. As we finish up these swings, returning to an ease, an unlocking and unfolding, we breathe and connect back into a neutral posture, putting the club away if you were using it, and arriving here in our body, full body scan complete. We let our arms dangle to a halt. Next movement is to activate the back deliberately. So lower back massage, circular motion here, erythropoietin release from the kidneys to help oxygen delivery, invigorating, making alive these muscles that might have escaped our intention during the body scan. Feeling this, we blow that out, come into a neutral posture. Crown still hooked on, elongated, unlock the ankles, the knees, the hips, letting that pelvic bowl hang down on the spine. Long spine, broad shoulders, easy elbows, restful wrists, harmless hands, forgiving fingers. Really coming into neutral. Breathing, unlocking, noticing. What our bodies are telling us, the sensory smart grid of information that is just streaming into our bodies, streaming into our brain from all of the limbs, from the torso, noticing if there's a specific body part, joint, area that is overwhelming taking over the signal. If there is, maybe subtle movements, subtle spacious adjustments to create some space in the spine, in the shoulders, in the hips, in the knees, the elbows, the wrists, the ankles, the hands, the feet, the fingers, the toes. Golf swing requires the entire body. There's no muscle group that's left behind in a swing. So any injury can be exacerbated and felt through the entire movement. As we build neutral up again, as we build neutral posture, come into an ease again, we can unlock and unguard those muscle groups that might be overly protecting a joint. That repetitive stress of the golf swing creates an injury pattern that wants to hold on and prevent mobility for good reason, for recovery. But here in gentle, neutral posture, we're not going to hurt ourselves. We're going to allow ease to set in. These are the internal sensors that a golfer needs to be aware of in their body. That sensory smart grid, light touch, deep touch, pain, temperature, vibration, resting length, position sense, all of this feeding back internally from the skin, from the musculoskeletal system. Become aware of it as a whole. That spotlight of attention, that laser-like attention broadens out to the spotlight of awareness of the entire body. And then we move to the external sensors. The golfer doesn't need taste or smell so much, and not so much the auditory system. So we'll move right into the visual system. As we open our eyes and start to connect what we feel to what we see, target acquisition, we notice that the flow of the scene around us is built up through ones and zeros. The ones and zeros are the photons entering with a certain frequency. A certain number of photons streaming in from any one place gives us the scene, central vision, very high resolution, picking out that target at a distance. But if we start to move just a little bit laterally, just shift, we'll notice optic flow. The scene changes. Depth perception becomes evident through things that you don't even notice are happening. For example, if you're looking at an object somewhere in your scene, in the immediate vicinity, the things behind that object as you shift move in the same direction you're moving in. But things that are in front of that object will move in the opposite direction. So just noticing that motion parallax is unfolding in front of you and space around you is gathered and represented in the visual system for use later. So this shifting, especially at a distance at 200, 300 yards, to notice depth perception at that distance requires you to move these sensors, the visual system, much more laterally in order to gain that change in the scene at a distance and discern depth. So this is an encouragement on the tee box or when you're hitting an approach shot to move 3 or 4 yards right of your ball position, 3 or 4 yards left of your ball position, and to observe, just take in the scene, nothing to do, just allow the optic flow to come in and let your brain become aware of, not even necessarily in conscious awareness, but letting your brain take in the signals from the retina and process and prepare you to connect the feel of your body to what you see, the target. And then this visual system, 70% of our external sensors, sensory information coming up in through the visual system, but even more sensory information is coming in through the thoughts. So if we can drop that out to really allow see and feel to dominate and not worry so much about all the things we're worried about, we drop into an awareness of our thought stream. So we can feel our body, we can see, but can we drop into the subconscious react networks that are just going to move to connect, feel, and see? So by this, I mean, we might focus on our breath as a way to not be distracted away from the fire hose of thoughts that might be coming in. Like, I'm never going to recover from this injury, or I'm never going to put that green jacket on again, or I'm absolutely going to put that green jacket on this next time I go out to compete at Augusta. Whatever it might be, these thoughts are extra. Extra thoughts can filter out to really focus in on what's needed with the body from what it sees in the target. This connection is what you repeat in the pre-shot routine to really get into the one swing at a time, one moment at a time. That's achieved a cliche status that doesn't have any meaning unless we focus in on the process. We see, we feel, we move, and we let the brain trust that react network to just allow the movement to unfold with some correction along the way to get our ball to our target. So the extra thoughts that aren't necessary, that cross in to distract us, we can just flush those out. What are the kids doing? What does the sidelines, what are the fans doing? What is my caddy telling me? All of this is in some ways extra as we step into the shot. We've processed, we've allowed that to go through. The utility of those thoughts were there before, and now we drop them. If this is hard, it requires practice, a return to that intention to remove resistance, tension, tightness in the mind itself. And we can bring our focus into the breath and connecting our breath with movement as a way to strengthen this connection. So a deep breath in through the nostrils, past the nasal turbinates, opening the airway, allowing the breath to come into the body. And we start to move in coordination, breath and body connected, powerfully to allow the movement to unfold. This picture zero, as it were, is called circle of life. Inhaling up and open, exhaling down and closed. Easy, open, unlocked. The arms just riding the breath as if nothing else is driving the movement other than the breath itself. Really connecting in breath and body, breathing into the entire body, opening up, softening, and easing into this movement. We'll move into the 18 pictures, a full dynamic movement practice that really connects breathing, movement, and efficiency with the same intention. Remove resistance, tension, tightness, wherever you might find it. Attention will go to wherever your body needs it, whether it's an injured part or a dynamic part that feels juicy and alive and well, or where some resistance is building that you just want to be aware that you're not exerting overly. Wherever it might go, allow it to wander. I will direct you from ground up, but you just let attention go to its desired location, all the while keeping awareness broad on this puppet on the string. So we start with the first pictures, raise lower hands. It's like the Karate Kid painting the fence with both hands at the same time. The inhale, arms come up and open. The exhale, down and in. Breathing, matching the movement. We might allow ourselves to return to the movements of our youth, easy, unencumbered, unlocked, softening up, gentle, easy, powerful, connected at the ankles, connected, that kinetic chain of energy from the ground forces upward through the knees, through the hips, through the torso, that lumbar spine, thoracic spine, shoulders, easy elbows, restful wrists, harmless hands, forgiving fingers. Next is opening our heart to what is. The inhale, the arms come up and open. The exhale, closed and down. Breathing, opening. The attention may go into the chest and the back here. Those agonist-antagonist pairs may feel like they're counteracting each other as opposed to allowing a rhythmic, coherent movement. The pecs, the chest can overly develop in the golfer. So really softening up and opening the heart to what is. Opening the sternum, opening the pecs, gliding at the shoulders. Ease, unlocked, open. Next is swing the rainbow. The arms come up overhead, lateral flexion and extension of the spine. Breathing, matching the movement, rather than feeling like you're crunching in the spine at any point in the contraction. We instead almost feel like we're climbing a rope ladder, elongating the spine, breathing into that side that opens, that lengthens. And in this way, we gain our height back. We open up some space. We create a lightening of the entire body. And the arms, as best we can, no platonic ideal. Your body tells you what you can do. I'm narrating, but you are feeling and experiencing your body, this body, for the first time again. So allowing the feel to become known. Any tension to melt that you can melt. The stability, the contractedness, the tightness that might be there around an injured joint. This is quite okay. Just allowing this to be as it needs to be to protect you. Knowing that that's necessary can help mobilize it when it's unnecessary. And the arms, soft shoulders, easy elbows, restful wrists, harmless hands, forgiving fingers. The rainbow swings between the palms of the hand. We come back to neutral for clearing the mist. So now this is a deep knee bend or a squat as best as we can. Again, any injury honored to allow our body to move as best as it can. We pick up the armful of fog, clearing the mist, breathing, unlocking, unfolding. Breathing, unlocking, unfolding. Connecting the feel circuits to the move circuits as we move more easily. Breathing, unlocking, unfolding. We might breathe into the open clearance here at the top, exhaling through the squat. It's more of a sitting down rather than a bending over. Really be paying attention to what gets loaded in the ankles, the knees, the hips, that pelvic bowl, the lumbar spine, the thoracic spine, the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists, the hands, the fingers, clearing the mist. We come to neutral. Neutral check. Puppet on a string, elongated, soft ankles, knees, hips, pelvic bowl hanging down on the spine, elongating that spine, broadening the shoulders, easy elbows, restful wrists, harmless hands, floating silk in the sky. Arms float up. At any time, if this is too much movement for you, just stop and come back to neutral and wait for the next movement. But this is a freestyle stroke through the standing position. Built from the ground up, we're gliding at the ankles, gliding at the knees, gliding at the hips. Lumbar spine open, spacious, allowing movement of the torso, broadening the shoulders, easy elbows, restful wrists, harmless hands, forgiving fingers. Breathing into the open space of the chest. Exhaling through the closed position at the front. And exchanging, easily, powerfully connected. Back to neutral for row the big boat. These are big arm circles with a deep knee bend as best you can, sitting into rather than bending over. And the amount of bend you do, the amount of sit you do, is completely determined by the feeling internally in your body. There is no platonic ideal. There's no need to get to some perfect squat position. We're just allowing our body to feel itself, to become known to us, so that we can use it skillfully in our play, in our practice, in our competition. Breathing, unlocking, unfolding. Back to neutral. Sunrise, sunset. So this is a tossing a ball like a chip, underhand chip, mimicked. We toss a ball to the right and to the left. Connecting from the ground up, can we connect the kinetic chain through the feet, grounded, transferring weight through the ankles, supple ankles, mobilizing through the knees, gliding at the hips. Breathing into this, it's the release of some of the shoulder tension, feeling the entire weight of the arm at the shoulder, feeling the weight of the entire forearm at the elbow, feeling the weight of the hand at the wrist, feeling the weight of the fingers at the hand, and feeling like you had a golf ball that you're tossing gently to that 20-yard chip to land soft and roll up and roll in. Chipping prowess connected into the movement of sunrise, sunset. Back to neutral, we gaze at the moon, beach ball sized replica of the moon, and we rotate pantomime golf swing to the top and through. No need to get to a golf swing here, just rotating gently to the top and through. Coming into the feeling and awareness of the edge of your dynamic range. How are you touching into this space? What are you allowing your spine to unfold? Is there resistance that you can unlock a little bit? Or is it there and fixed for the moment? Nothing is fixed forever, but maybe today, the mobility, the juiciness, the aliveness in the joints that are mobile can be felt here. Not wanting to compensate too much, we still want to build a golf swing, a posture, a movement that is fully utilizing the entire body so that no particular part is subject to overwhelming strain. Building a gentle movement here still can unleash power at the point of impact. There's no paradox here. Effortless power, you've all felt as elite golfers before. And so even through minor injuries or major injuries, that effortless power can be built again. So that's what we're working on if we're working on anything. The work is to not work on anything. Remove resistance, tension, tightness. How do you interact with the edge of your dynamic range? Are we wringing out a towel? Are we trying to force movement past where it wants to go? Instead, allowing at the edge of the next movement, the dynamic range to become known, felt, and eased into, touching into the edge. So the top of the backswing becomes reliable and not a tightly wound spot to immobilize. Instead, there's a nice transition, like you're hitting the soft chip, delicate flop shot. That transition smooth, coming through. Swinging in both directions, we might exaggerate feeling the top of the backswing in the opposite pattern than we normally move. So for a righty, it's at the left top. And feeling this come through, really juicy feeling of that movement allows control. Can you feel the club face? Open, sliding under for that flop, or closed and hooded for that punch. Whatever it might be, we feel, we connect and return. Next one, lotus leaves rustling in the wind. Arms come to 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. So we reach out and grab, like we're grabbing a rope and drawing it back in, but this time effortless. Feeling the gliding at the ankles, connecting the ground forces through the ankle joint, up, gliding at the knees, gliding at the hips, pelvic bowl, creating some space in the hips, and gliding to 2:30 and 9:30, gliding open, and then soft shoulders, easy elbows, restful wrists, harmless hands, like we're just gently, fine motor, tapping, touching into these lotus petals. We're grabbing, gently drawing back towards us. Lotus leaves rustling in the wind. Next one, float, wave hands like clouds. So the arms just gently float back and forth, in front and down, filling and emptying. Maybe like the time lapse of Mount Everest, very stable structure of the mountain, but the clouds come and go. Dynamic scene around a stable mountain. This is our golf swing, stabilized, powerful where it needs to be, connected and mobile, dynamic, flowing and free where it needs to move. Now draw your attention to the emptying hand here, feeling the weight of the arms at the shoulder, feeling the weight of the forearm at the elbow, feeling the weight of the hand at the wrist, and feeling the weight of the fingers on the hand. Really feeling this fully. To empty the arms. And then the filling can occur with just the minimal set of myocytes that need to fire to lift and open and turn. Raise the arm. Really feeling this. It sounds like a broken record, but removing resistance, tension, tightness, moving into that effortless power is a continual, repetitive work. So we're turning here, returning to this movement, returning to this intention. Allows us to build something as we move through the rest of our day. That feed forward halo effect can kick in. Coming back to neutral, the next three postures are going to be in a lunge position in both directions. So we exaggerate the movement into it. From neutral, we shift our weight to the right, emptying the left leg, lifting the left, stepping out 45 degrees into the lunge. For picking up the ocean, looking at the sky. Breathing, opening, getting used to this new movement pattern, gliding through the lunge position back and forth. Soft feet. Ankles gliding, knees gliding, hips open in this new position. Pelvic bowl gliding across the table. The torso, rather than bending over here, we sit down into the lunge. Picking up the ocean like we're knee deep in the ocean water, picking up a handful of that ocean water, letting it rain down on us. Breathing into this. It's an opening, spacious movement. Powerful, connected through the lunge. Noticing how our bodies move. Again, no platonic ideal. This is your body today. Whether it's this way through a lot of training and you've gotten here, or there's been atrophy or injury, no matter. This is the body you have. And at this point in time, how can you move to remove resistance, tension, tightness? You step back, step out to the right for picking up the ocean, looking at the sky. 70-30 weight transfer, gliding in the lower extremities, powerfully connected, that kinetic chain, breathing, matching the movement. The inhale to the top, the exhale through that closed position. Really unfolding power here. Connected, easy, unencumbered. Stepping back, come to neutral, exaggerating the weight transfer to the right, emptying the left, stepping out to the left for push waves. Push waves, gentle, unlocked, unfolded. Breathing, matching the movement. Connected power up that back leg from the back heel, noticing the weight transfer, the kinetic chain, the forces up the back of the leg, through the knee joint, through the hips, through the lumbar spine, through the thoracic spine, through the shoulders, elbows, wrists, palms of the hands. We can feel this force. Powerful, connected, easy. Whenever a joint meets resistance, has tightness, that is a loss of kinetic transfer of energy. So we feel the flow, unencumbered, easy. Stepping back, stepping out to the right side now. Breathing, unlocking, unfolding, push waves, like we're knee deep in the ocean now, gliding with the waves or being the driver of the force pushing the waves, the wave generator, up the kinetic chain, posterior leg, through the knee, through the hips, through the pelvic bowl, lumbar spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, opening some space through the thorax, shoulders, elbows, wrists, hands. Stepping back, stepping out to the left again, dove spreads its wings. Horizontal arm circles, connected with this lunge, same lunge in the lower extremities. Confident now, broad, strong base. Connecting up through the kinetic chain of the torso, through that lumbar spine, thoracic spine, shoulders, elbows, wrists, hands, and fingers. Dove spreads its wings. Stepping back, stepping out to the right. Dove spreads its wings to the right-hand side here, softening the feet, connecting the kinetic chain, gliding at the ankles, gliding at the knees, gliding at the hips, lumbar spine, powerful, open, spacious, thoracic spine opening, with the breath, easing shoulders, strong, supple, soft, easy elbows, restful wrists, harmless hands, forgiving fingers. Dove spreads its wings. We come back to neutral, stepping back into a parallel stance, unlocked at the ankles, the knees, the hips, pelvic bowl hanging on the spine, deepening the inhale to elongate the spine, broadening the shoulders, easy elbows, restful wrists, harmless hands. Hands in a fist at the hips, dragon emerging from the sea. This is a punch. We might punch from the torso, just emanating a missile from the shoulder. And then we can start punching with the entire body from the ground up, noticing the difference here, feeling the ground forces transfer, that initial impulse, at the transition through the inside of the foot, through the ankles, through the knees, gliding at the hips, allowing the pelvic bowl to rotate powerfully, turning the torso along so that the dragon can emerge from the sea more powerfully here. Shoulders, soft, supple, easy. Elbows, restful wrists. But that middle knuckle is generating force and power like you wouldn't believe as the whole body connects in through this practice. Breathing, unlocking, unfolding, dragon emerging from the sea. Come back to neutral. Wingtips touch at the top for fly like an eagle. Inhale, exhale to that squatted down seated position. Wingtips touch at the bottom. Breathing, unlocking, unfolding. Easy, unencumbered. Sitting down rather than bending over. No platonic ideal. Your own body in this moment tells you, gives you the feel, allows you to move. At the bottom of the next swing, we swing the arms through in a big arm circle with a deep knee bend, feeling the weight transfer from right to left at the bottom and from left to right through the hips at the top. Feeling the glutes, the core, the lower back mobilize here. Different movement pattern than the sitting into a golf swing. It's unfolded almost sort of the opposite way, swinging through the bottom into the crouch, breathing into the top, feeling the juiciness of the muscles here. If there's pain, if there's tightness, honor that. Need not go that far down. Easy, unencumbered, soft, supple, just starting to mobilize whatever is there. And at the bottom, we go the opposite direction, counterclockwise. There is no need to meet some perfect ideal right now. Your body learning to move again as if it's for the first time. This new body exploring what's possible, honoring pain, honoring resistance, melting it as best we can, but not getting frustrated that it's present with us. It's telling us something. As a healing body restores itself, it wants to protect that which is healing. So allow that to become known, that that healing process is unfolding. We're self-healing here so that when we go out and compete, the stresses of the body during competition can restore themselves more quickly. Back to neutral. Penultimate picture is bouncing a big ball. So this is the march again. Marching in slow motion, easy, unencumbered, full weight transfer, the only posture that shifts the entire weight to one posted leg. Same instruction here, empty the leg, feeling the entire weight of the leg at the hip, feeling the entire weight of the foreleg at the knee, feeling the entire weight of the foot at the ankle, feeling the entire weight of the toes at the foot. Like this, we can empty the leg, allowing for a more powerful transition, more balanced, more easy, less in the way. Back to neutral, final one, gathering the fragrance of the earth. Arms wide, deep knee bend, settling in the energy of the movement, back into the center, into that dantian, into the pelvic bowl. 2 more times. Deep knee bend, gathering the fragrance of the earth, settling in, breathing into this space, noticing some spaciousness, noticing how our body feels after that hour of activity, breathing, unlocking, unfolding, and ease here for a moment in stillness. We end with a simple affirmation, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be free of suffering. Let that percolate your interior, your body, your heart, your mind, and the rest will follow into your golf game and beyond. May the people you work with, may the people who support you, may they be happy, may they be healthy, may they be free of suffering. May your friends, loved ones, family, may all of these people who also support and encourage you through your games, may they be happy, may they be healthy, may they be free of suffering. With this we end, left hand open fist, sun rising, right hand closed fist, moon forming, moon rising, sun meets moon. Thank you for your practice. Good luck with your competition. May you heal any injuries that might come, and may you be healthy for that next win that's on the horizon. Take care. Come practice with me again.